Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and welcome to your match preview for Nottingham Forest versus Crystal Pointless. And a pointless team they are. I mean, what the hell do they do? They'll beat a team you expect them to lose to, and they'll lose to a team you expect them to beat to, and every season, all they seem to do is finish somewhere in the middle of the Premier League. They win nothing. They inspire no one, but they're just still there. Like a fart that's lingered in a room where the smell just won't go away. I put them in the same ilk as Southampton, in that group of clubs that I feel sorry for you if you do support them. But someone has to, I guess. And I'm glad it's just not me. They are a good team, however, saying that. They have good players and they could cause a big threat to Nottingham Forest tomorrow. But we're coming off the high of the Spurs match. Let's hope we don't do what we did against Arsenal after coming off the high of the Liverpool match. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Cooper projected team that I think he'll go with. I'll show you my team that I'd like to see, and we'll touch on Palace, their dangers, and the formation they will use tomorrow. As always, please do start by giving that video a quick like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and this is really important. If you become a member, the fee you pay for membership will now go to the Nottingham Hospitals charity. You'll be entered in the draw to win that beautiful t-shirt as displayed by Brennan Johnson. And we'll be doing the first draw because we've got 3 to give away at the end of the player ratings after the game tonight. Guys, one other thing to mention as well, we will have the watch along for you as always from this afternoon at 2:30. And we will be looking at that team sheet. And I kid you not, if I see Steve Cook in the team, I'm going to absolutely lose my crap because he needs to be dropped for this game. This is not the game for no pace because Crystal Pointless have pace, physicality, and skill. Cooper, if you're listening, I'm begging you, take my advice. Having said that, now Cook's probably going to go and score a hat-trick, which would be fantastic. But I'm not saying drop Cook because I hate him. I'm saying drop Cook because it's for the benefit of the team against the opposition we're playing. Look, let's get into it and let's talk about it a little more. Okay, so the title of the video says Cook must be dropped. And for all the haters out there or who are looking for little stuff that I say that they can latch onto and say negative. This isn't about being negative. This is about being pragmatic. What I'm saying is Crystal Palace are a physical, strong, pacey team. We cannot put Cook as a starting centre-back in this team. Nothing against him. I don't even need to say that because we're talking about what the best thing is for our club. And the best thing for our club is he has to be dropped for this game. He's going to get absolutely laced for pace. Now, do I expect him to be dropped? No, I still think Cooper goes with him. I don't know why. I don't know why he can't see what the majority of the fan base can see. He's a good centre-back, but without the pace, he struggles so much in the games, and he has to be dropped. It's a tough one as well when you look at the rest of the team because it's who's he going to go with? Is he going to go with the team that played well in the first half against Brentford? Or is he going to go for the team overall that played really well against Spurs midweek in the Cup? I think there's going to be a little mix and match. So let's go over to the full team screen here and I'll show you what I think is going to happen. I've taken into account some injury concerns. McKenna's picked up a knock, so has Quixote. So they may not feature in this game. Now, I've taken that into account. They're probably... it's incredibly frustrating at the moment. We talked about it on the Forest Forum yesterday about the lack of clarity on the fitness of players. Niakate has come out and said he's basically out till 2023. We know there's a knock with McKenna. We know there's a knock with Quixote. We know Omar Richards has started training but is still not fit. So you have to bear with me as I'm piecing together the crazy clouded jigsaw that we get from Forest. This is a team I've gone with in terms of what Cooper will do. I think Bolly will come in if McKenna's not fit. If McKenna is fit, he goes back to McKenna and Cook. I think Aurier and Lodi definitely have to start. I don't think he'll put Nico Williams in with Lodi on fire and Nico Williams maybe with one eye on the World Cup. That could be the case there. And although Hennessy played really well against Spurs midweek, Henderson will come back in because he's not going to the World Cup. Therefore, full mind, full focus on this game. I just can't. I will lose my crap on the stream if Cook is starting tomorrow against this team in specific. In terms of the midfield, I've brought Freuler in for Mangala because obviously Mangala's suspended. It's a crying shame. I would have loved to have seen Mangala and O'Brien again in the Premier League. I'm leaving Yates in. Yates is developing nicely. In with Mangala fit, he would have been the one I dropped to bring in Mangala, and having Freuler there, I just still want to see that midfield three. In terms of the front, I've gone for Cooper to go back to the 4-3-3 and start with the three that he started against Brentford, which will include Dennis, Johnson, and Gibbs-White. Maybe Jono gets dropped for Lingard, and what you might find is that Gibbs-White's put on the right, Lingard on the left, and then Dennis up front. For me, if he does that, he's not playing the players in the right position at all. I want to see, look, if we're going to see this 4-3-3 formation, Gibbs-White is the better false nine. He operates so much better in the middle of the park as we saw against Brentford. There's been a huge debate about whether or not Gibbs-White should be dropped for Lingard, all because Lingard finally had one decent game. For me, I'm still not sold on Lingard. You don't just play well in one game and then expect forgiveness from me. For me, if he goes and he performs 2, 3, 4, 5 matches, 7 out of 10s, the odd 9 out of 10, and so on, then fine. I want him to succeed at Forest. It's not, look, I don't want him at Forest, but if he's there and he's good, then I'll back him. It's absolutely fine. There's no, does that make sense? You want him to play well, but at the same time, you can't just have the odd game. A lot of fans seem to have just forgotten about the previous 14 games where Gibbs-White has been a lot more consistent, and that's why I go with him. The other thing to consider with Lingard, come January, he's probably going to start talking to other clubs. Where's his focus going to be from January? Because I can't see Forest signing him back up, and there's also the rumours about Forest cutting their losses in January anyway. We'll have Scarpa coming in. We'll have a full video on Scarpa maybe a week or two down the line as we get through the World Cup that no one seems to care about, including myself. But I think for tomorrow, this is probably what Cooper picks. The odd change would be maybe if Kyote's fit and he drops O'Brien for Kyote, then I'm sorry, but that's just not the right call at all. Maybe Kyote comes in for Freuler, but for me, that's probably the three I would go with as well, because of Mangala's suspension. Let me show you the team that I want to see tomorrow, and I just think it has more balance to it. I know this formation isn't everyone's cup of tea, but it works so well with the personnel we have. Let me point a few things out in it. O'Brien is a workhorse. He'll get up and down. He'll play a double pivot really well with Freuler. Freuler in Switzerland plays this with Xhaka, and they control the midfield with no problems at all. And I rate O'Brien just as much as I would Xhaka. So I think these two there will work really well and give outlets for Henderson, who I'd put in goal over Hennessy, to have options for distribution of the ball. He's a good distributor of the ball, but he's not been given options. So as bad as his distribution has been this season, without the options, who the hell's he going to pass to? I like the idea of this front four. I really do. I know there's loads of Sam Surridge fans, but Owoni, like it or lump it, has scored most of our goals. As poor as his technique looks, as Bambi on ice as he comes across, it's Moneyball football. As I say in Moneyball, I said before, they get on base. With Owoni, he scores the goals. To play him up front, give him a run. At home, he's a different beast. He's got presence, physicality that will really help us. Dennis is the controversial one. A lot of you are saying he was slipping and sliding all over the place. He doesn't pass the ball early enough. I don't care. He tries to run forward and is aggressive and can create chances as well. The passing, the longer studs will help him, etc. But this three that played last week against Brentford, Dennis, Gibbs-White and Johnson, had pace and were aggressive in going forward. The key for this is, a lot of you will say to me, we'll get flooded in the midfield, 2 versus 3 and so on. It works in defense, it becomes a 4-5-1. So you do flood the midfield and protect it. MG Dub is brilliant at getting back. He may not be the greatest tackler, but he'll put the work in. And the key for me with this formation is you keep Morgan Gibbs-White central, which is his best position. And then you got Dennis and Jono. Yes, they won't track back as much, but the link-up play, imagine Loddy, Dennis, with Broiler feeding balls in down the left. You got the same down the right-hand side, with Aurier getting up and down at the right time. In terms of the centre-backs and the back four in general, I like what I saw against Spurs. I wouldn't change it apart from switching the goalkeepers. Look, Worrell's never going to be my first choice. But at the moment, when you look at how those two played versus McKenna and Cook, not only did they defend really well, but they were also progressing the ball forward instead of always looking for Henderson with a pass backwards. So for me, that four needs to stay the same until the likes of Niakate comes in. I mean, there's no point anymore discussing Bidet. Cooper's made it quite clear what he thinks of him. As far as I'm concerned, it's RIP Bidet. He's done. I can see him going back to his parent club in January. Sorry for the creaky chair. But that's what I would go with tomorrow. Look, if it's not working, we can always change it. There's substitutions, 5 of them. You could bring on your guy's boy Lingard, I guess, at some point if it's not working. Maybe for Dennis. But again, he wants to play centrally. And Gibbs-White is the future of Forest. And we've got to work and build around him. But that would be my team. Let me know down below if you agree or disagree with it. Let's touch on Crystal Pointless because they do have some good players in there. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, pace and physicality is what this team is all about. You guys know the usual suspects. You got Zaha, you got Eze, you've got Ulisi as well. Decore is a really good midfield player as well. And of course, then you've got Anderson. And Anderson is the one who scares me. I know it's weird to say, but a centre-back who can ping a ball like a laser over the top of defensive lines is danger. This is what comes back to the whole Cook can't play. Balls going over the top of him are going to kill him. We've seen it time and time again this season. When he starts to get a little adventurous and starts to push the line forward, or push up, should I say, those balls just ping over his head. Look, Worrell is not great with balls over his head either, but at least he's got a bit more, slightly bit more pace about him. And this comes to the point of how deep or high do Nottingham Forest play that back line. If they get too adventurous and start pushing it up to the halfway line, we could be in serious trouble. It's still a problem regardless of which centre-backs we put in until Niakate comes back and at least offers us that pace. We have to sign another centre-back in the January window, and it needs to be of the caliber of someone like LaCroix. Yes, as I'm saying his name as LaCroix, like it or lump it. And Dick is available. There's loads of potential that we could have signed in the summer window that we've ignored. But we are where we are right now, and we're going to have to deal with what we've got. So it's dangerous. Potentially Cook knows about Anderson's balls over the top. So is he going to go for a low block football and really push us deep, which is definitely the wrong thing to do? Palace aren't a massively pressing team. They don't press from the front that high, nor do their midfield really press too much. So we can't play too deep, but it's that fine balance that needs to be found. Usually Palace, or should I say Crystal Pointless, will play in a 4-3-3. They can switch it around. Sometimes it's a 4-4-1-1. It just depends where they want to play Zaha. Zaha, down the left-hand side for them, will come up across against Sergeant Aurier, who will marshal him really well tomorrow, I believe. So you may see Zaha played up front like they did against West Ham, because then he can take his pace and his skill and trickery against our centre-backs. That will worry me. So it's really important where we see Zaha. When they did this last week against West Ham, they put Eze on the left and they put Ayew on the right-hand side. We may see a similar team to what they did against West Ham. I actually feel that they're probably going to go with a very similar team to that to expose that weakness in the centre-back. And then you're going to see those Anderson balls come in over the top. Can Forest win this? Yes, they can. But it all depends on the formation and the personnel. If we see Cook in that starting lineup, then hold your breaths. We're in for an interesting afternoon. But if we see that back four that started against Spurs, we have a better chance of keeping them out. And if we can unleash the pace of Jono, of Dennis, and Morgan Gibbs-White's trickery, and have Awoni there to cause a problem against those Palace defenders, we may have a decent chance at this. Key thing to remember is at the start of these two games, we said Forest need at least 4 points. Ideally get the 3 against Brentford, and then a draw against Palace won't look bad. For me, this now means because we got the draw against Brentford, Forest need 3 points. We could be smiling and singing come 5 o'clock tomorrow. If Forest are able to beat Palace and Bournemouth get a slapping and other results go our way and Wolves have got a tough game and so have Southampton and the other guys around us, we could end up out of the relegation zone. And what a lovely position that would be to go into the World Cup break. But I am so sick of looking ahead. We will deal with it at 5 o'clock and we'll see where the chips lie. For me, there's no point in saying if this or that or the other happens, because every time I say it, it tends to be the complete opposite. It's a tough one, guys, but it's a huge game and we need to sign off from the World Cup with a big win. Can we do it? I believe we can. But I'm not completely confident, if I'm being honest with you guys, and I'm always honest with you guys. And hopefully that gut feeling of mine that says Cook is going to start is wrong, because surely Cooper can see it, and surely Cooper understands the opposition we're coming across and the danger they possess with pace, trickery, and power throughout that team. We'll be along at 2:30 for the Watchalong. We'll talk through the team news. We'll dissect it. We'll see which way Cooper has swung with it. Then, of course, we'll have the full match for you. And then following that, the player ratings, where we'll get into it. At the end of that, we'll be giving away one of these t-shirts. So make sure you're tuned in. Make sure if you're a member, you're watching us as well. And make sure if you're not yet, either donate to the charity, become a member. Either one is going to get you into the draw. But if you want to be in the draw for tomorrow, it'll be the members one going through first. So it's only 99p to get yourself in that one. And again, to remind you, your subscription will be paid over to Nottingham Hospital's charity. Let me know your score predictions down below, guys. I'm worried about this one, but I think we can still win it. Let's see what happens. We'll see you at 2:30. Come on, you Reds.